got the beginnings of a project here. I'm still in the design phase. I'm not sure exactly what I'm making, but I know I'll need some wider boards than what I got, so I'm getting ready to glue these up into 4 strips. Got all my pieces marked on the back so I don't get them mixed up. Figured out what I'm making. This is going to be a T-shelf. Each one of these curved pieces will fit in here for the side of a shelf. I'm not going to show making these because these were actually cut-offs from a CNC project. I was getting ready to toss them in the trash, and I decided they would make perfect ends for these shelves. I believe I'm going to cut mortises in the back supports for the shelves to recess into, and I'll probably do that on the front too to give it a little extra stability and strength. I think I will cut a profile on the top to help it match up to the end of the rounded over piece that's going up there, because the height of the back right now is higher than the end of the rounded over piece will be. I may use these as decorative pieces on the bottom. Haven't decided yet. I'm going to get it assembled first and then decide whether I want to put those on there or not. Those are also CNC cut-offs that I was getting ready to trash. Might make a neat decorative little feature. We'll see. The job now is to figure the easiest way to cut the slots with the least amount of setup. I also have to cut rabbets in each of these shelf backer pieces. Got the lines laid out for the dados I need to cut, and I've decided I'm going to do these on the RAS. I think that'll be the simplest way. I've set up this piece of MDF as a stop block so I can cut the dados across the top of my boards. This will actually work to cut the top and the bottom. I've got the blade depth set at 1/16 of an inch. My boards are 5/16 thick. I just need a small recess for the shelves to fit in. It doesn't have to be very deep. This is going to be a little bit of a process changing over for the 2 middle cuts, but it's still probably the simplest way that I can do it. And I'll be cutting all 4 of them at the same time, so that should help with my accuracy. In order to safely cut the rabbet along the bottom of the shelf backer pieces, I've got 2 spacers I'll be using. So I'm going to butt the board up against my stop block here, this MDF, to make the first cut, and I'm going to hold it in place with this board so my hand's not too close to the blade. And I'm going to put the thin spacer in to cut out the middle part of the rabbet, and I'll put my thicker spacer in to make the final cut along the edge. Clamp this back side together to help hold it in place so I can take some precise measurements to cut the decorative pieces that are going to be the end caps. I found center on my end caps and marked the length where I need to make each cut. This little project is going to be a clamping challenge. I'm going to have to do it in stages. I think I'm going to work on getting the back frame glued together first. And from there, I'm not sure exactly what. I don't even know how I'm going to clamp these arched pieces just yet, so I'll have to figure that out. I didn't have a good plan for how I was going to glue this up, but I think I've figured out, well, I'm figuring it out as I go. I'm using one of my crosscut sleds as a clamping jig. That'll get the bottom shelf in, and I'll figure out the next ones as I go. Alright, that should get the bottom shelf and end pieces good and square. Okay, I got it. Figured out how I needed to turn the clamps. Got everything good and flush, square. Well, that's what we got so far. I'm trying to glue this top shelf on and the front pieces. Well, all right. Let that dry. 30 more minutes. I'm not a big fan of using painter's tape for a clamp, but in this situation I don't have much choice. I'm gonna let that dry overnight, and tomorrow so I have to do a little bit of puttying on here. A few little spots where it's not as tight as I'd like it to be, but I'll get that on and get a coat of Tongol on here, and this will be done. And there's the little tea shelf. Of course, it's actually going to be mounted on the wall, not sitting on blocks, but you get the idea.